Well, hey folks, Pete here, and I'm going to show you how to get better, faster when practicing. And this cheap little hoop is going to help right after the intro. Now hear me out. I did say faster, but I'm not saying fast. And there's a big difference that a lot of folks on the internet don't talk about. You see, most folks are trying to sell you fast. Fast is a tip that's going to change your game overnight. Something like put your offhand in your pocket to help speed the gyroscopic vectoring of your hips to allow for greater release and lag simultaneously within the power pocket so that you too can throw 500 feet, regardless of body type, age, any other thing. You can do it. And see, there's a trend out there that's trying to sell you on the idea that you are just one trick or fix away from great disc golf. And if you'll just do this one thing that some YouTube expert has figured out that no one else knows about, you're guaranteed to be awesome. And let's face it, we're hoping there is a secret magic bullet out there, myself included. Instead of work, I can just take a pill. Wouldn't that be great? Sign me up. Faster, however, is something different. It is something that will help you get better over time, not overnight. The difference is time and the work you put in. So I'm not trying to sell you a magic trick or instant fix, but I rather am trying to give you a tool to maximize your time in field work. But just like the name implies, you are going to have to put in the work. So let me start with a typical day of field work. I show up at a course or field and I think, I need to work on my throws. So I grab my bag and I throw the first disc out into the field. And then I try to get all my other discs close to that one. Raise your hand if you've done this. I know you have because that's how we do field work. So then you repeat it 5 or 6 times until your arm hurts or you've lost at least one disc or you just get hungry or bored. And then you tell your friends that you had a great field training time yesterday as you step up on the tee and proceed to slam the first available tree. Now, first and foremost, please hear me say this. Our brains are amazing creations, and any practice we do is going to teach us something that can help us out in the future. But there are different levels of practice, and you have to decide what level of practice and growth you want. Here's the big point. If you don't hear anything else, the greater the growth you want, the greater the focus and practice you will need to commit to. What do I mean by that? Well, let me use another skill, guitar playing. Here we have one guy that decides he wants to play, so he picks up a guitar and he quickly learns how to play his favorite song using 3 chords while watching YouTube. He then has a lot of fun playing that same song for the next 3 years. And he can truly say he has spent hours practicing. And as long as someone requests that one song that he knows, he can nail it. Another guy commits to learn all he can about playing. He puts in long hours learning about chords and how to read music. And it's a lot less fun in the beginning and the middle, but it really pays out bigger dividends in the end when he or she can play any song. How many of us are like that first guy in our training? You see, sometimes our biggest speed bump to our growth is that we're happy playing our same song over and over again. And if you are satisfied with how well you play that song, or in our case, disc golf, then this might not be the video for you. But I bet for a lot of you out there, myself included, we've been lazy with our field work and we can do better. Did you notice that when I was thinking about doing field work, how general and unfocused I was? That way of practicing is better than nothing, but we're not being very direct and intentional with our work. Did you notice I mentioned the possibility of getting bored? Well, because unfocused practice will give us plenty of reasons to quit. Why am I out here? Is this really helping? Even our bodies and our minds know when we're not being efficient. However, adding challenges will ignite our competition drive and give us the encouragement to keep going. You see, true practice and training requires a goal or a focus, not just a broad sense of wanting to get better. The more specific our goals, the easier you can judge how you are currently doing and also be spurred on by how much you're improving. And the bonus is your mind and your body don't get bored. Okay, enough talk. We can do this by adding a little more challenge. Let's look at some of the issues with how we've been doing things. Remember, we started by throwing out the first disc. Of course, you probably haven't even stretched, which is a whole nother video. I hate stretching, but also, what disc did we throw out? Well, if you're like me, it's usually a mid-range because they're in the middle, and that makes sense. So now you're going to have to overthrow your putters and underthrow your drivers to land them near our mid-range. Granted, there's definite merit in that, but we're investing our time learning specialized shots that we may need to use once or twice around versus working on and developing a consistent form that will come into play for every shot that we throw. So instead of doing what is easy, aka a little bit lazy, how about we invest in our practice? I would recommend using a group of at least 5 of the same discs, or at least the same range of discs, whether it's putters, mids, drivers, etc., whatever you're wanting to work on, and have them be in the same type flight characteristics so you can work on consistency. The more discs, the better, so that you can spend more time throwing rather than gathering the discs. That way you're not switching throwing styles and power levels for each different disc, but rather working on one type of throw over and over again. But wait, what about that hula hoop? Was that just clickbait? Nope, I promise. I'm going to get to that in just a second. So we've already improved our field work simply by not throwing a bunch of different discs all over the place, but a consistent group of discs that fly fairly similar. It's a good start, but we can do better. You see, when we practice, we want to narrow down to the smallest targets possible to train our minds and our bodies to aim small, miss small. You see, when I just throw the first disc out there, and even if they're all the same type, what inevitably happens? Well, I start cutting myself some slack as it moves on. Oh, that one was pretty good. It's just a little off, but I can make the comeback shot. I've said it in past videos, in order to grow in any skill, you need to have timely, clear feedback. This is important. Hear me clearly. We need to have grace in our lives and especially in our relationships, but we need to be merciless when we practice. It needs to be yes or no, and not maybe. Bare minimum, maybe we decide success is having all our discs inside circle 1. We now have a black and white target to challenge ourselves with and simply ask, is it in the circle? Yes or no. It becomes really simple to judge how we're doing. And this is good. It's really good in that it has us thinking about training, not just practicing. But what could we do to be more efficient with just one extra thing? Enter the hula hoop. Now, the hula hoop is not magic. You don't even have to use a hula hoop. You could use PVC, pool noodles, anything to create a target window. The key is just simply to add another target point into your practice that will refine your success parameters and give you even more feedback as to how you are doing. Let me show you. Now, I would start with putters and don't try to start too far away because you want enough success that you don't rage quit and set the hoop on fire. So no hula hoop, I can get 8 out of 10 inside the circle, and with the hula hoop set up, I can get maybe 4 out of 10. Wow, what just happened? Well, my target got harder and I can't fake any shots that don't go through the hoop. Now my focus is getting narrower and the challenges have ratcheted up. But my excitement is also increasing and I can use that to train better and longer. Note that adding this middle target will drive you crazy at first because you thought you had good disc control. But that hoop doesn't lie. How consistent are you really? Not just to get it through the hoop, but to land it inside the circle. You see, multiple levels of complexity cannot be faked by okay shots. You have to nail it. So the best you can do today may be to get 2 out of 10 most of the time. Next week, hopefully, you can get 3 out of 10. And the encouragement feedback is starting to come into play. Now imagine a few weeks or months from now if you consistently work on this. How dangerous a thrower will you become? How confident will you be in hitting gaps and lines that used to scare you? That is the fruit of pressure in practice. It reduces pressure in competition. And here's a little extra. When you start getting good at hitting the circle, just make it skinnier and harder. The beauty and simplicity of this setup is that you can use it to recreate a multitude of shots, even if you just have an open field. Now you just have to decide what you're going to work on and putting the time in. So if you have to choose between bringing a practice basket or a hoop into the field, bring the hoop every time. Your disc will thank you later when it stops hitting as many trees. So guys, I hope that helps. I hope that gives you something to think about to really ratchet up how you're practicing and training And you can do this regardless of your skill level, your age level, or anything like this. It's about working and practicing. Whenever you listen to Jomez and talk about these top pros, they talk about how much they practice, how much they train. If you want to get good, you're going to have to put in the work. And I hope this will be a tool to help you get better, faster. Guys, if you made it this far, thank you so much. Please hit the like and subscribe. I could really use the help in that. But I also just appreciate you sticking with me. I hope this helps. I hope this encourages you. And I really hope to see you out on the course.